The lamp is of the body, is the eye. So the eye is the lamp of the body. If therefore the eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. So God is saying, when you have divine imagery, it illuminates coherence. So coherence has to stay in its illumination phase. Okay. When God gives you a word, that's a coherent illumination. So many of us are not staying in the faith, the proper illumination imagery, right? And this is why. But if the eye is bad, the whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So what happens is we got to allow the light to we got to stir that light into other areas of ignorance. Okay, you got to stir that light into other areas of our ignorance. All right, and a lot of times we have hidden commitments to fears, failures, phobias. This is where I was about to actually go into occupation. The occupation force. It's an occupational misunderstanding. Okay. For example, most people think that your occupation is your purpose, and it's not. It's not. God's purpose is his purpose. God's rule is his purpose. Occupation can be a vehicle to your growth, but it's not your purpose. So God's interest is not being served, but God backs his interests. Write that down. God backs his interests. And so what's happening is we have to realize when you are getting something, or let's say I read something, okay? We'll read something, and like I said, sometimes because we are not understanding prophetic timing, like we're wasting a lot of time. When God puts something in you, thank you, he put something in your spirit, you got to build on that, because God is showing you that is pointing to my interest in you. Okay. So we all have occupations, but your occupation is to perform a duty to perfect your purpose. Okay. So God is giving you a occupation to perfect your purpose. And many of us don't realize, because everything has to come to apex. Everybody, listen, everything has to come to its apex. Success is the fulfillment of the word of God. Everything has to come to its apex. So why am I, okay, for example, why am I so interested in education? And I never was. I'm a pastor. Why am I worrying about education? I really wasn't. I didn't care about it, because I understand in the apex of education, it was no different than spiritual formation in the church. So where did education get to an institutionalized modality? Well, the church gave it to it. We gave it to it. So now that I understand that revelation, I'm dealing with the ignorance of everybody who have an occupation, but watch this, worshiping the letter, but they're not understanding the spirit of the letter. They don't understand the rule of the letter. So why am I saying that? Because God is calling everyone to come to the spirit of the letter, so that you understand the apex of what you're here for. All right. When you understand the apex of what you're here for, especially as a believer, you stop playing games and playing religious games, and stop doing all this stuff. So let me not come off focus. But Elder Kellen, what you're asking is, God is saying when our eye is pure, and we can keep our eye pure, because that has to do with going back to the principle of first. For example, if God give me a revelation into something, sometime I have to be able to hold coherence and perform determinants. So hold coherence to perform determinants. But sometime that might not match my financial situation. It may not match my marital situation. So now I have to study, how do I get this coherent word form? Because remember, this is the apex. I'm growing into the apex of what God is saying. So God is going to back this, but I got to stay with the coherent capsule to keep me captivated in this determinate place And then when I do that, watch God show you. What? Listen, God will prove you through that process. God will prove you through that process. You know, I'm so confident when I talk about God in these areas because He's proven me in everything. I don't come from everything. I don't. I don't. There is no. Yeah, I got a master's degree now, but my pedigree don't qualify even what God has blessed us with. Okay. Okay, it doesn't qualify, and I don't mind saying it on this call. All right, I'm not gonna apologize for being blessed. Okay, I'm not gonna apologize on this call. Okay, so I want you to understand my pedigree don't match the blessing, but I learned incremental obedience